We definitely had to take it week by week, as we always knew that the Brumbies on paper will pose the biggest threat, but we couldn't get ahead of ourselves and worry about the Brumbies. So the first week was obviously the Force, the second one the Rebels. Those two sides on its own presented a challenge, as they were desperate to show everybody that they need to stay in Super Rugby, and obviously it will be great to top one of the conference leaders. So that therefore we had to focus on that. We had to reassess everything on the injury front, and then only worried about the Brumbies game. So we still stayed with that proposal in terms of our tour and our season, and our build-up is definitely not no different. It's a shorter week. We've lost a day. We play Friday instead of Saturday. So we had to. The only thing that had to change for the build-up is that we had one less day to prepare, and had to move everything ahead. So where we would have normally do a defense on a Thursday, we did it today. But our off day is still tomorrow, and our captains is still the day before the match. So nothing has changed on the routine, and obviously it's important with a short week to recover well, because you lost that extra day. The Brumbies are definitely different. They, one of the bigger teams in the competition, with a lot of Australian players in the back line that can, like Spade and Kurandrani, those guys can have massive impacts and line breaks. They've got a big loose trio, big locks. They one of the Brumbies teams that scored penalty tries at scrum time. They've one of the teams that in the last few seasons has scored a lot of mauling tries. They always got some tricky mauls with, backs joining and so on. So physically they're going to test us in history, and this year they've one of the sides that can go 20 plus phases when they've got the ball. And then obviously weather-wise, it's a big challenge, as Sydney, Queensland, Canberra, Perth, all those areas are nice and warm, even during winter time, where they expect a very cold evening on Friday when we run out, because it's a late game in the evening, things like 7:45. So definitely, the Brumbies are different from other Australian teams, and do we have to adjust? We have to be able to adjust on what we get from the weather. We have to adjust on the kind of pressure what they're going to create on us. We obviously want to stick to what we have done for the last few years. We're not going to change major, but we have to stay in the physical confrontation, and we have to be able to adjust of what we see they're gonna do to us, because obviously they've got plans to stop our attack, and then we have to adjust according to that. We have to adjust. Teams has analyzed us in depth since last year, that we created a lot of play, and obviously they try to spoil us and put pressure on us on different areas. So it is time to adjust. Weather-wise, you always also have to adjust. And then the most important question is, where's the pressure? Sometimes the pressure can be relieved by changing direction. Sometimes it can be relieved by a good tactical kicking option. Sometimes it's just hard work. So it's all different facets of the game that you have to adjust to, and I think we're happy. There's still a lot of work. There is times that we can run instead of kick, and other way around, where we could have kicked instead of run. But that balance and the decision making is where we will get challenged on the weekend, as well as they quite well renowned for the pressure that they create. Yeah, we still feel that we're a bit off. Obviously, it's up for us to make sure that we train well and prepare well during the week, and play at our standards and our intensity. But we still feel that there's improvement. Keeping in mind, about 8 players is not playing that played the majority of the season last year. I think everybody knows the names, but if you think Julian Redlinger is Dylan Smith, Warwick Tecklenburg, Ruan Kombrink, Jaco van der Walt, Howard Manisi. There's a number of guys that was involved. So there is new faces, guys that adapt. There is also the senior players. So it's up for us to get everybody up to standard, but it's still a long way. And we're happy with the curve currently, but we know there's still a lot of hard work. And obviously, we know that closer to the playoffs, the intensity is really need to lift. But there's, like I said, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. There's some tough games lying ahead, and as long as we can get over the line every time, we'll take it. And if we can be there at the end, hopefully the guys will tap into last year's experience and be up for whatever the challenge is.